Men have always had a very, especially religious men, white men, Christian men have had a problem with women. Has anything fascinated white males in this country more than the wise Latina statement that Sotomayor made when she gave that speech? It has been so taken out of context, so turned into something evil and ugly and dark, as it's just astonishing to me. You got to wonder, does anybody on the Judiciary Committee give a damn about the qualifications of a candidate that comes before them for the Supreme Court? Where are I heard today all these half-assed questions about abortion from Lindsey Graham. And Sotomayor tried to explain to him what Lindsey Graham already understands, that the Supreme Court never ruled that the Constitution permits abortion. The Supreme Court ruled that a woman, see, there it is again, there's that word, a woman has, not just a woman, but citizens of the country or anyone affected by the Constitution have a right to privacy. All Lindsey Graham could focus on was the usual hot-button issues. And Lindsey sits there with that smirk on his face, knowing that the folks back home are paying real close attention about abortion and about guns. And, of course, a couple other little old things there that have to do with race. But Lindsey is not a mealy-mouthed dumbass like Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. Lindsey Graham is what? Isn't he a colonel somewhere or something? Wasn't he in the Judge Advocate General's office? So Lindsey probably has more intelligence in his big toe than Jefferson Beauregard Sessions has in 4 generations of his goddamn family. You know what I'm saying there? Anyway, see, I'm doing it again. I can't, it just, when I listen to those guys, I'll tell you one who's even worse is the governor of Mississippi. Oh, what's his name? He used to be the head of the Republican National Committee. Every time I hear him, it's just like fingernails down a chalkboard to me. There's something about that, and I'm not talking about the redneck drawl, the southern redneck drawl. I'm talking about that well-born white male Christian southern way of talking that is at once slow, and it's all set with fox traps, or so the speaker thinks. Yes, I am very smart. I will talk like this with my little traps, and I will catch you. It just drives me crazy. Patrick Leahy offered Judge Sotomayor the opportunity to explain her wise Latina woman remarks, because Patrick Leahy is a Christian also, and white, and a male. So, I've heard one commentator say, well, that was his way of trying to preempt any attack on her for saying that. Yeah, right. Okay, here comes the judge.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to explain my remarks. No words I have ever spoken or written have received so much attention. I gave a variant of my speech to a variety of different groups, most often to groups of women lawyers or to groups, most particularly, of young Latino lawyers and students. As my speech made clear in one of the quotes that you referenced, I was trying to inspire them to believe that their life experiences would enrich the legal system, because different life experiences and backgrounds always do. I don't think that there is a quarrel with that in our society. I was also trying to inspire them to believe that they could become anything they wanted to become, just as I had. The context of the words that I spoke have created a misunderstanding, and and to give everyone assurances, I want to state up front, unequivocally and without doubt, I do not believe that any ethnic, racial, or gender group has an advantage in sound judging. I do believe that every person has an equal opportunity to be a good and wise judge regardless of their background or life experiences.
Well, Judge Sotomayor, I certainly disagree with your last sentence there. I certainly don't believe that every person has an equal opportunity to be a good and wise judge regardless of their background or life experiences. Hell, look at that little squinty-eyed mole-looking white boy sitting up there named Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. You believe that he could be a good and wise judge? Oh, I'm doing it again. I don't think so, Judge Sotomayor, but I understand why you had to say that. And again, these inquisitors are not the least bit interested in the context in which those words were spoken. They're not the least bit interested, other than abortion and guns, what this judge's background is, how she's ruled on cases. There has been a lot of digging by the Post and the Times and a few other newspapers around the country to check out her record. Turns out she's fairly conservative for a liberal colored woman. But what these clowns on the Senate Judiciary Committee want to know is, what does that mean about a wise Latina woman? Huh? Not realizing, of course, they're being redundant, but these are dumbasses. Now, Sessions isn't just going to let the candidate in front of him let her comments stand about the wise Latina on her very clear explanation that it was an inspirational statement to students. He is going to get to the damn truth. He's worked with colored folks before.
You've said, I think, 6 different times, quote, I would hope that a wise Latina woman with the richness of her experiences would more often than not reach a better conclusion. So that's a matter that I think we'll talk about as we go forward. Let me recall that yesterday you said it's simple, fidelity to the law. The task of a judge is not to make law, it's to apply law. I heartily agree with that. However, you previously have said the Court of Appeals is where policy is made. So I guess I'm asking today, what do you really believe on those subjects?
I believe my record of 17 years demonstrates fully that I do believe that judges must apply the law and not make the law. Whether I've agreed with a party or not, found them sympathetic or not, in every case I have decided I have done what the law requires. With respect to judges making policy, I assume, Senator, that you were referring to a remark that I made in a Duke law student dialogue. That remark in context made very clear that I wasn't talking about the policy reflected in the law that Congress makes. That's the job of Congress, to decide what the policy should be for society.
You know, it must be extremely difficult for an intelligent person, man or woman, Caucasian or not Caucasian, to sit in front of a collection of dolts like Sonia Sotomayor is required to sit in front of and answer these half-witted questions.